I am Kasasagi Usagi, and I'm here with more Pyre. The first thing we have to do today, and it's gonna take us all day, 100% guaranteed, is this stupid orb. You have returned! How can I help you? If at all. You need but choose among those unenlightened fools with whom you travel. You asked Sandra to administer one of her special trials for Wolfred. The fancy talking sap, you mean? I shall be interested to see if he has learned something since last we sparred like this. Then let us bring him forth. A good question. Soon Wolfred appears in heat of the summons. So it is my turn then. Let's see what we can do, my boy. I am not going to be able to do this with him. I'm not going to put too much effort into it. The apparition Sandra appears and unfastens her mask. Listen well, Sap, you answer to me here. As you will, O Sandra the Unseen. Proper as ever, though I wonder if you have the withdrawal that you project. Show me then what you can do without the benefit of those you would lead, and let us see if you and your lovely reader have reached through the understanding yet, as of yet. I get caught on I'm getting caught on something over there that I can't blink. It's the second time that's happened to me, so I just gotta be more careful. Okay, I guess I'll just do it then, and it'll be fine. The NPCs were much more forgiving with you on this, They weren't trying to spank you, like they were with some of the others. I'm grateful for the privilege of your time, good Sandra. Flattery shall never get you anywhere with me, Sap. Nonetheless, your performance was sufficient, and you passed my test. Thus, congratulations are in order to you and to your lovely reader. Now farewell.
Serio comprare.
Yeah, I had not seen Sandra in some time. She's not changed a bit. But it would seem she left something for us, did she? Wilfred's blink ability transports him further than usual. That's not bad. Please, reader, leave me be. I ask that you leave me be. Go about your business. Go watch the stars die out. Go get your idiot friends their freedom. And you be sure to tell that herald with whom you consort. Sandra the Unseeing did her job. You tell him that. Perhaps that way he shall put in a good word, and the scribe shall finally provide for me a bit of reprieve. She falls silent for a time. I do not know what else to do, reader. But you remain with her, letting her draw whatever strength and comfort from your thoughts you are able to afford. That was kind of you. However, let us conduct our business. I care not for pity. Do not come to visit me again like this without my asking. I insist. Come to visit me again when you need further practice. What am I doing? What am I doing out here? Oh, I forgot to talk to somebody here. Oh, I just walked by the minstrel. Following Faye's liberation, the lone minstrel has returned to the wagon and stands as though nothing happened here this night. He tilts his head a bit as you approach. Once more the Nightwings have prevailed in the liberation rite under your mindfulness, reader, a commendable achievement. Surely Faye will live out her days in gratitude to you and your companions. Perhaps she may now seek Jordrell there in your commonwealth. I should think that Jordrell would like to witness what took place this night. I trust that together they shall make a formidable difference to the plan which all of you endeavor to achieve. Now, for the time, Celeste and I are to return to our respective stations. We all await the next turn of the cycle of the rites. May you prevail once more when next we traverse Scribe's Gate. Until then, reader, rest well under the stars. He nods and leaves you to recover after a long night. At dawn, your companions are prepared to depart. Everyone is silent. Your travels are to take you back to the Isles of Calthamere, but soon after, the stars shall draw you here again. Again we return to the Isle of Calthamere, hidden in this storm. I have met very few who know of it at all, much less have walked upon its stones and sands. The discouraging tales of the demise of Calthar Ropecaller, who met his end here on that isle, the imps that swarm and breed across this place today seem not to mind. Having paid witness to the rites firsthand, they have become rather obsessed with it. I sometimes wonder if it is more difficult to conduct the rites with such a boisterous audience. May the fate find their way shortly so that the imps may have their contest they desire. The London still suggests that the sport of fishing may help pass the time as you drift among the dark waters of Far Brief. Here it seems the fish are one step ahead of you. Perhaps if you keep at it, they will let down their guard, or perhaps they shall not. Rather than relent, you redouble your efforts against the fish. Hours pass. The fish nevertheless elude you, and you have little choice but to concede to them this day. Oh, I forgot that I decided that I was going to abuse these poor people again. How's it going with me today? It's not going too bad. How's it going with you, Sprightly? Hey guys, say, whatever happened to that Fae you brought in here sometimes? You know, the loopy one, frizzy hair, always handling all the merchandise? I liked her. Oh. I guess we can get rid of Faye's little bracelet. Oh, it's so sad to get rid of their shit. I don't like this. I guess I should just buy sand and level up the tailspins I do have. So I really don't need anything else, as cool as it all is. I seem very stuck in my own ways. You know that I have many wars, Sprightly, against robots and fish. What tailspin are you going to be using? It's true. That is what they say. There's Hedwig's thing. Let's get that all leveled up for you, my boy. And then Tizo. There we go. We'll just level up something. Come and see us again, guys. You stand before the bizarre outcroppings of the Isle of Calthamir. The sky darkens, and in the distance you hear the sound of gibbering creatures growing louder. The sound of it is unnerving enough that your fellow exiles remain quiet, their eyes affixed to the stars above. Soon, something in the sky begins to stir.
It seems the stars once more have mustered wherewithal to usher in the rites. The sky grows dimmer by the day. An age is ending. Surely you must know by now that you shall never all be free. Yet still you struggle to fulfill some senseless plan. But I digress, of course. Some of us still honor the tradition. Some of us hold dear the teachings of the scribes.
The pyre on each side are burning bright. From across the field, you observe the leader of the Fate approach and remove his mask. Our noble adversaries have arrived at last to put an end to our vain attempts to return unto our homes. Then stand ready, my son, and let the scribes watch over us. Let the scribes do as they please, father. They have shown us little favor in all of this. I fight only for you.
Who shall besmirch the Nightwing's name? Bertrude. Hanatha. Tizo. The choice is cast.
If this is to be your last confrontation with the Fate, then Tizo vows to make it one to remember. I prepared my son for what this means. Yes, father. I knew this might may come, and I have been waiting for it.
Now begin.
Oh, shit.
First to be banished. Oof. The orb has left your clutches. In honor of the scribes. That's it.
I don't quite understand what happened. But it doesn't matter.
So douse their pyre. Absolution.
I know, Tizo's so strong, so brave. Well done, O Nightwings. My poor Almer. You did nothing to deserve this. You have the family's courage and the family's grace, but I lack the family's strength, or the strength to tell you so. Courage, Almer. The scribes are watching over us, and we shall be united with them, always. Them and one another.
There. So it is. The rite is nearly ended. Careless. Tizo takes the plunge. There goes old Bertrude. And it is done. The Nightwings managed to prevail. They hardly deserved it, though, if you ask me.
This dude is so bitter.
The rite is ended.
Ye Fate, ye connected here with such fury and such desperation that we must commend ye for it, despite the outcome, which has favored us. I guess that's that. The Fate. They won't have much of any chance of getting out of here anymore, will they? Tizo is pleased to have prevailed through. He wishes that the Fate find their peace. We are defeated, noble Nightwings. Though please, you must excuse me for my son. He has no manners and he has chosen to depart. Farewell.
The rites do tend to teach something of trust.
Oh, have I knocked them out completely? I guess I knocked them out completely.
Until the next rite.
That's pretty rough.
If there even is to be another one.
They were much better that time around, though. Inside the wagon, the triumphing over the fate, Pamitha is discussing aspects of outcome with the others when the lone minstrel streaks you out. Pardon the interruption, reader, though I need to ask you a moment of your time while the night is clear enough for you to see. Please come have a look outside. Perhaps the news of your next destination may further stir the hearts of your companions. Among what stars yet remain shining in the night, one of them now burns as bright as ever you have seen. Really? Just the one, huh? The cycle turns ever more quickly now, until such time as it shall stutter to a halt. He makes a sound then, almost like a laugh. I forget myself, reader. I should not say such things. The scribes, they would say that one ought to focus on the path in front of him. When we set forth to walk along an labored path, it can be all too much. If we stand back and look up upon it as a whole, we may well decide to turn around. But if we begin to walk whilst casting down our gaze, and whilst resisting well the urge to look too far ahead, we may make steady, careful progress. Soon enough we may arrive where we endeavored. The lone minstrel bids you a good evening. You had best retire for the night, for when first daylight comes, it shall be that time again to take to the skies. Excuse me. The wagon wheels from the impact of some sort of massive object slamming into it mid-flight. False nightwings. Orlick calls down to you all from atop his wagon. Again you seek to climb the cursed mountain beneath us. Again you seek to take my rightful place. I should send you crashing down to it, that you might fall as I have. He stares down at all of you, but I shall not. Rather, we shall meet upon the summit, after the last cycle of the rites is ended. Until then. He's gonna challenge me with, like, my worst team. Second of two paths leading to the mountain summit. You sense Tizo shall gain favor. No. Tizo. You make the landing of on the sacred Mount of Adil after you encounter with Orlek. Orlok spoke the truth. He is right to gain the summit. When the time comes, Celeste shall deem him worthy and shall let him pass. While he has transgressed against the rites, he has also already been anointed and prevailed. Nothing is written in the book on this, and liberty ought already be his. For the time, it seems he has not yet traveled to the summit. Perhaps he is still making preparations with his fellow exiles. When exactly Orlok intends to make good on his promise, he did not make clear. For now, you are to confront Tamitha and the essence upon the summit. But first, you may prepare. I did want to see... Oh yeah, they'll never make it back up. Seems like everyone may get a chance though, so we technically have 3 more possibly to go. That is very difficult to say. Later that afternoon, you accompany Tizo through the sheer cliffs of the temple cistern to the monument of the Underking Ors. Hello, old friend. I know that you and all the scribes are watching over me, and all of us, and I am grateful to you. Your ancient rites are ending soon. I promise you, my friends, and I will make the most of our last 2 chances here. You return to the wagon after he has finished paying his respects. The summit awaits, but first there is time to continue practicing your vocations. So I get 2 chances left. Very well then, educate us if thou canst. You and Bertrude discussed the meaning of the rites, developing a deeper understanding of his contest created to determine the worthy from among all those pitted against each other. A land so rife with eldritch knowledge, long forbidden in the Commonwealth. We can learn stuff of fear itself. Bertrude's Pyre has less than the adversaries. Her adversaries deal -10 to her Pyre. Ooh. We'll need that. The height of the sorceress's power formed the basis of the rites. Our predecessors gained such knowledge throughout their travails. Hello, Tizo. You observe Tizo rummaging about the black wagon as though in search of something. He notices you there and rushes up to greet you. Kree! Tizo is glad you are here. He was just reminiscing about old times. But just as quickly he resumes his search. Tizo is looking for something a former exile of the Nightwings once gave him. He is growing frustrated that the object he seeks is nowhere to be found. We almost do not notice the lone minstrel's approach. I'm afraid that it is gone, Tizo. I am very sorry. Reader, it is nothing that ought to be cause for much concern, merely that Tizo has misplaced something of sentimental value to him. It was just a spare bandage, he indicates, exactly like the one on his horn. Tizo here has had many adventures with the Nightwings. Is that not so, Tizo? He squawks in approval. Those memories shall always stay with you. Is that not what matters most of all? He confirms this as well. Then please do not worry about yourself about it anymore. It's a symbol of distant past besides. Tizo shulks away up into the rafters, and the lone minstrel watches him go. The object he seeks does not exist, reader. Tizo searches for it from a fleeting memory of his days in the Nightwings of the past. He performed the regular duties of the other drive-imps at first, but soon distinguished himself. I was none too surprised. He was clearly special. He had grown close with the other members of the Nightwings when misfortune fell and the Terminative fell apart. Perhaps Volfred has revealed to you more of the details. As for Tizo, I feel he must make peace with the shadows of his past somehow. Perhaps then he shall cease searching. You need not worry for him, of course. He is resilient and shall always serve the Nightwings well. You might say he was born for it. Begging your pardon, reader. The lone minstrel excuses himself in his polite way, leaving you to consider what he said. Who left last time? We never got an update. Oh, Faye left. She wanted you to keep. I was like, I can't remember. So we only have 2 left. It's tough because Bertrude and Tizo both seem like they would rather stay here. And it's like there's no guarantee I'll win either of these. I think I'll send Tizo home this time and Pamitha off next time. Pamitha deserves to go home. A messenger imp with news and rumors from the other side somehow tracks you down in the narrow passages of Mount Aladale. The imp's message pertains to Faye, who you liberated in the fall of Salem, and whose past transgressions have all been forgiven since her return to the Commonwealth. You learn that she was taken in by a well-to-do foster family and was to be given private schooling of the highest order in the Astralis tradition. They promised her that in time she might one day have the honor of teaching the children of the Commonwealth herself. However, she soon went her own way, insisting that the 8 scribes themselves were calling at her, and she started wandering again all on her own. That is until she located Volfred's agents. Thus her wandering ceased, and the ranks of the revolution grow stronger. Faye also left a simple message: believe in the scribes. You thank the messenger imp for this report, and as your companions gather to discuss. She better be more careful, else they'll throw her right back in here with the rest of us. Tizo misses having Vaya around, though he is pleased to hear that she is well. Sounds like she's making a difference out there. I often felt she was the bravest of us all. That one. Very powerful indeed. A sorceress of sorts. A certain air about her, most intriguing. She has the manner of a saint, that one. She knows in her heart the tradition of scribes. I totally forgot about Hedwin. He just doesn't count. The news of Faye's liberation fills you with your fellow exiles with newfound resolve. Paramouth is just so good. It's true, he's not. Paramouth is just so strong. She's like, her and Tizo are like my strongest two. It was over for this dude. Well, he's still gonna, they're not even axes. They're gonna go back to find her. And I was like, no. You will return once more to Scribe's Gate, where the gate guardian awaits under a dim sky. The exiles of Nightwings and you, Tarek. This is to be one of our final meetings. Greetings, Celeste. The Nightwings are prepared, and afterwards I would have words with you in private, if you please. It seems to me rather late for words now, Tarek, but I shall hear them once your charges cross the gate. Now, all of you, come forth. Please state your names and what it is you seek whilst crossing Scribe's Gate. Once more your companions cross the gate, one after another, and once more you follow them in turn. Celeste regards you all and then waves you through toward the summit. The 8 scribes bid the Nightwings welcome. Go forth with glory. And Tarek? I, Celeste. You may rejoin the others for a while. For now, I would hear these words of yours. Certainly, Celeste. Everyone, I shall see you shortly.
The plains that sleep below, to the canyons open wide, hear the song of Jeremy for the lost and lonesome bride.
Oh, hey guys, it's gotten real cold to get up here, but it's worth it. Let me tell you, customers been stopping by. Okay, I may have been exaggerating just a little since I've been waiting here a little while, I guess, but you can buy something?
From the song of gentle morning, the lost and lonesome bride. Now he roams through hill and valley, and the canyons open wide.
We'll have a little bit of hope.
Singing
It's a treat.
songs of gentle morning for his lost and lonesome bride.
Oh, not you. Get out of here.
His lost and
What does Hope do again?
lonesome bride.
Oh, you don't need that. You're perfect. I'll give it to you, though. There you go. You guys take care, okay? And thanks for doing business. The time has come to deliver one of your fellow exiles to a homecoming in the Commonwealth, lest your adversaries, the Essence, achieve the same instead. The lone minstrel has returned and approaches you as you wait for the signal from the stars. There's something I wish to ask you, reader, something which ordinarily would not be my place to discuss in any detail. You observe the stars. If you would not mind my asking you in such a discreet manner, how many liberation rites are you supposing yet remain? You tell him the only logical deduction, which you have been able to make based on all your readings of the stars of late, that there should be one final liberation rite after tonight. I concur with your evaluation, reader, sir. I wish to make certain that you are aware that you and the Nightwings may yet make the most of your remaining time together thus. As to what shall happen once the final liberation rite is ended, we shall find out. We soon shall both find out, but lo, it seems we are called upon once more. Look forth. I thought they were gonna play me and be like, actually, it's the last one.
Reader, I would ask that you think back for just a moment, if you please. When you first looked upon the Book of Rites, think back upon the words that it revealed. Oblige the voice that tells you more. Oblige the voice that tells you more. Would that the scribes were here among us still. I would not sing your praises to them, rest assured. I trust that you shall savor this occasion. You shan't have to oblige me for much longer.
The pyres burn and each of the Trimovites is present and prepared. I concur the pyres burn and each of the Trimovites is present and prepared. Then, anointed one of the essence, come forth now and declare yourself and pay any respects you have unto your adversaries, the Nightwings. Tamitha swoops down from somewhere and unfastens her mask. I am known as Tamitha Thane. I mean to return to my ancestral home and probably resume my responsibilities as flight tactician of the High Wing Remnants. Our long stalemate against the Commonwealth shall soon be ended, and I and several of my sisters manage to rejoin our clan, and our vengeance shall be swift and thorough. Your quarrel with the country that cast you into the exile is beneath the notice of the scribes, Tamitha Thane. Here you shall be judged under the stars. My quarrel with the Commonwealth is all that gave me and my sisters strength enough to reach this point. The scribes ought well to take heed of how my people suffer. We are not weaklings anymore, like your Thrista Thysis. We shall not fall in line with the flightless fools and their naked attempts to subsume our heritage, our culture. Speak not again thus of the saint, or you shall be expelled, Tamitha Thane. Tamitha scoffs and turns her attention toward your side. And Nightwings, as for you, the fury we shall imminently show is nothing in comparison to the hatred growing for your Commonwealth and the mountains on the other side. She signals to her sisters to ready themselves. You seek your freedom, but there shall be nothing safe for devastation should you manage to return. Nightwings, your choice. In whose name shall you conduct the liberation rite? I wish you the wisdoms of the scribes in making your choice, reader. And I wish you to come prepare our song with me. I think I'm gonna bring
Whom shall you attempt to send home this time?
I will bring Bertrude for this because of her new boon, which means they'll do less damage if I fall behind. Tizo seems stunned by your decision, though is very grateful for you, to you for it all the same.
Who shall be at his side? Tamitha.
The sooner we get out of this stuffy place, the better, if one were to ask me.
Bertrude.
Well, we shall lend our support to that one, then.
It is done.
One final obstacle to overcome ere I can soar again above your Commonwealth. Such destruction I shall rain upon it soon, but first let us dance this final time.
Commence.
As the liberation rites continue, you sense Tamitha reaching out to you, or perhaps just reaching out to anyone at all. Reader, someone please. Let her prevail, please let her prevail here this once. If this makes me a traitor, so be it, but please let Tamitha prevail, for she is here wrapped up in all of this because of me. The plea trails off, and Tamitha remains steadfast, all her attention focused on the liberation rite, and as for Tamitha... Prepare yourselves, Nightwings, and as for you, Tamitha, I await the outcome of this night, for it shall soon ensure that I may never have to see your smirking countenance again. I'm gonna win this, because I can't get them to Tizo to stop dropping the ball, like quite literally. Fuck, dude. I can't stop this. I can't get close. Ugh.
Sublime. Their flame has died a little.
Hark now, my sisters, damn what the book says. Advance to strike formation. Prevail here against these wretches, no matter the cost. In disregard for the way of the rights, Tamitha Thane has ordered the Trumative to push further afield, adopting an even more aggressive stance for the remainder of this rite. Really?
Glory to the scribe.
They're so far up.
Their pyre weakens. Alas. Oh. Yes. The fire of resolve. Shame. The orb. Glorious. No more than a lick of flame remains, and there it is at last. The essence proved their worth. The Nightwings fell just short of doing so. Thus ends the liberation rite. And thus the scribes have chosen. The exile appointed by the essence shall be free, absolved of all misdeeds, return to glory in the Commonwealth.
And it stopped making me be virtue.
Her adversary and all others
We were so close, it was
shall
so fucking
remain
brutal.
to carry out their rightful sentences.
I'm sorry, Tizo. Tizo is grateful that the Nightwing struggled on his behalf despite the outcome. Commonwealth fools. How fitting that traditions such as this should spring forth from a culture such as yours. They ought to have put me to the sword, but no. They, in their arrogance and in their smug superiority, deigned reason that those such as I ought to be exiled instead. Here then we would live in penitence and learn the errors of our ways. She laughs for once, though not with joy. Such utter nonsense. And now they shall receive me open-armed, a champion forged by their precious system, yet I shall use every waking breath to bring them all to ruin. She turns to her fellow sisters of the essence and regards them with respect. Sisters, we may not be bound by blood, but ours is stronger bond than even that. May we soar together in the stars someday, and I swear to you the Highwing remnant shall survive. Farewell, sisters. A moment later she is gone, engulfed within the waters of the shimmering pool, yet you may hear her voice vibrate one last time. Farewell, sisters. Tamitha earned back her freedom.
Godspeed, Tamitha Thane. The cycle of the rites is nearly at an end.
That sucks. wonder if I should have used Headwind instead. Headwind might have been better. Well, Temitha, I knew full well that I could never give you back to you the years you spent in exile, and I knew I could never regain your trust. But maybe now at least I can start to live with myself again. Though how absurd. I might have doomed the Commonwealth, the Highwing Remnants, and Temitha alike this night, and yet, once more, all I can think of is myself. I need a drink. After the liberation rites, you find Temitha drinking alone. Everyone seems off to be doing something equivalent. You're about to leave for B when she looks up to you. That's that then, Raider darling. Mission accomplished. Is that what you wish to hear? That my loyalties of all this time rested with Temitha? You know that's not that simple. Besides, I think I've made plain my intentions from the start. I'm here because of her. She looks up at you then. But I'm still here because of you. She pauses again for a time. I don't know the reasons why we failed that liberation rite. Were the Ensigns simply superior to us? But I don't wish to know. And as you can probably detect here, darling, I feel no joy in this outcome. But I feel as though a part of me was liberated there, along with Temitha. So, and I realize this may make little sense right now, but thanks, if nothing else, for being there to help me see this through. She then gestures towards you with her bottle. You accept the bottle, and the two of you drink in silence for a time. Nothing more needs to be said. As the hour grows late, you excuse yourself and leave her to her thoughts. If Temitha was ever conflicted in her intentions, you sense now that she is fully committed to the group. She has nothing else to strive for. The last night of the stars still shines on us above at this point. What is to become of our plan needn't be the subject of our speculation. I trust we'll learn the outcome soon enough. Our actions to this point shall pave the way, perhaps our faith as well, so let us now focus on this. We stand upon the brink of the last turn of the cycle of the rites. Soon, we'll have a final chance to get one of you home. Now, reader, rest up for a little stargazing. Let's see where in the downside we shall be returning for these final rites. Ugh. Who don't I want to fight in the rites? I assume it'll give me a chance to go. Nope, guess not. Oh, these guys. It's gonna be Pyre Hearts or the tree. And I don't remember the tree being a problem, but I know I don't want to fight the Pyre Hearts again. Because they can actually be quite wily. Yeah, I want to leave that dude be. Although if they beat me, then I've really beamed myself. Once more you face the Pyre Hearts then. Although I wonder. He hesitates before saying anything further. You cannot sense his thoughts. I apologize. I was lost in thought there for a moment. Let us make way for Karn of Harabub when everyone is feeling more refreshed as much as possible. Thank you for the sippy. It is daybreak. You are to set forth now for the Karn of Harabub, for what appears to be the final time. Thereafter you shall return here for one last exile's final chance at liberty. Oh, fuck. I know who I'm fighting. It's not gonna matter. No one's going home. I can't beat that dude. It doesn't matter. And it does not matter. Oh, what the bloody blazes! Parker notices your wagon at his flank there and begins to laugh. Well, if it isn't the Nightwings flaunting their fancy little wagon, eh? You think you're better than us, mates, eh? Ah, you ain't better than dung I stepped in last night. Now, get out of here. I have a mind to leap on over there and zip your gizzards out. You hear me? God, there's no way. That dude is so rough. flight takes you near to where you've breached past storm wall into deathless tempest. With the climate and the downside intensifying, you wonder if the storm has spilled forth its confines and started to ravage other regions of this land. I know, I'm really being... I should have... I feel bad for Tizo. The little imp Tizo Tizo's keen sense for things now takes you far into the dry flats of Lixsand. Keeping up with him proves difficult at times. All of a sudden, he begins to hop and screech. Tizo wants you to help him dig up something right under his feet. You begin to dig in the vicinity and soon encounter something long since buried, perhaps for someone such as you to find. Oh shit, that's amazing. Oh, Tizo. Tizo seems to be in the midst of a conversation with the lone minstrel as you approach the two of them. The little imp appears perturbed by something. And above all, he was very, very loyal. Fiercely so, in fact. All throughout the land knew better than to underestimate him in spite of his little stature. In that respect, Tizo, and in many others, I might add, your great-grandfather was very much like you. Tizo seems to be asking the lone minstrel to confirm that he is not playing some sort of prank. I am being serious. Have you known me to be the jesting sort? Tizo seems to be admitting the lone minstrel has always been sincere with him. Just so. Then please do not degenerate yourself, for what you are not only his only heir, but you are my remaining link to him, and thus to all the eight. And more importantly, you are my friend. Tizo is grateful to the lone minstrel for his kind words, and considers him a friend as well. The Nightlings need you now, more so than ever. The lone minstrel turns to you. Is that not so, reader? You concur with the lone minstrel's assessment that Tizo is a most remarkable and irreplaceable member of the group. He is an extraordinary imp indeed. At this, Tizo rushes up to you and gives you an imp hug. Oh, I love Tizo. Tizo is grateful to you for your kindness and your support of him. Tizo bounds off happily as the lone minstrel looks on. And there he goes. Thank you indeed, reader. Tizo sometimes loses sight of all that makes him special, a quality uncharacteristic of his kind, but not so much uncommon among yours. Once there was a time when he was the sole imp able to conduct the rites. Since then, however, other Trimovites have found imps with the capacity for it. They make for useful allies, no? More than willing to conduct the rites whilst having no desire to leave this place. Although little Tizo does have dreams of visiting the Commonwealth, in any case, I'm certain he shall continue to serve the Nightwings faithfully. The lone minstrel bows his head on his way out, bidding you a good rest of the afternoon. I love Tizo. Oh, hey, you guys. You know, you just missed some other customers, and I sold them some of my stuff. Not the better stuff than I sell to you, but if you run into some guys with good stuff, you know where they got it. God, there really was some good stuff, but money is, you have to sacrifice a lot to make money. Well, Tizo likes staying down here. It's not like he just has like a little wish to go there, if he can, as a treat. After making the necessary preparations amid the stark badlands of the Kharan of Habab, you and your companions await the commencement of the rites. It is quieter even than usual on the onset of such events. The lone minstrel appears bearing some sort of news. I've checked, and it appears as though the Pyre hearts have not yet arrived, reader sir. There is no sign of Sir Deluge or anyone. Their sigil is not set either. If what he says is true, your adversaries are not present, then you presume the rite cannot commence. However, the stars themselves soon indicate you are mistaken.
Reader, the Commonwealth, your home. Today it is aflame. Much like a stack of books. Aflame because of you.
Me?
Because of your outlandish plan.
Oh. Well, it's not my
that
plan.
you care. Not that you shall live to see this place again. Your attempts at revolution shan't succeed. Though by all means, keep trying. As for myself, I shall enjoy presiding over these remaining rites.
The rite is set to commence, but your adversaries, they have failed to show. Unfortunate, but understandable. They knew they would never make it to the liberation rite. I cannot blame them for not wanting to participate just for the sake of it. Indeed, as the rites are drawing to a close, some of the Trimovites whom you have met, perhaps they are beginning to decide the stars are not worth heeding any longer. Saluj, you wonder why he would give up on the rites like that. He lacks in courage, that much is certain. Though his desire to prove his competence didn't seem to spur him on. In any case, we have begun the ceremony here, and so I ask that we end it.
Choose quickly your triumvirate.
This is so bizarre.
Ametha. Tizo. Edwin. If that is all, then...
Let's get this over with then.
Lo, even your adversaries have abandoned you. And it is done.
Okay.
The Nightwings prevail by default. Not that their adversaries even care.
That is so weird. That was easy. Don't see why the rest of you are so dour.
Boundless are the teachings of the scribes.
Okay.
May misfortune find you ere the turning of the stars.
I'm being threatened from all angles. Well, no one speaks further of the Pyre hearts back at the back wagon. Everyone is instead preoccupied with the rite that is to come. So this is it then, the coming rite. It's our last chance? No, Hedwin. It's their last chance. The stars always shine with truth. The ending of the cycle of the rites is now upon us. He looks over to you. Please look forth, reader sir, and see this for yourself. You may well surmise where we are going next. The others turn to you as well. You turn toward the wagon's door, and you know that what you shall see out there. Now, however, the time has come to face it. The dim and fading light of the final star still pierces through the darkness, demanding your attention, guiding you towards the endpoint of your path. You see plain the golden star of Salam. Look upon it for the last. I'm gonna get absolutely decimated. Oh, I see. It didn't matter. They were all gonna quit. Okay. Understood. You are summoned to the Fall of Salam for your 7th and final liberation rite. Thus shall the cycle of rites be ended for an age. You sense that if the rite shall ever commence again, it shall not be during your lifetime, or that of any of your companions, even the longest-lived ones. The stars reveal to you one more thing. The adversary from whom you shall face shall be Orlek. Already he has crossed Scribe's Gate and awaits your arrival. If the 8 scribes created the Nightwings in their own likeness, perhaps it's only fitting that the Nightwings should in the end be forced to face themselves. It is a shame that we should have to confront Orlek in the end. Our goals should never have been at a cross purpose. I am surprised this is what the scribes desire. For now, it may be best that you recover until dawn. Regain your strength as best you can for the coming trial. Rest well, reader. The group disperses in exhaustion as exhaustion sets in. At dawn, you fly to Mount Aladale to make a final effort to achieve your plan and get somebody home. But who? He probably can. Not only can he handle.
Foolish reader, your so-called friends. You are accomplice to their hateful plot. They are exploiting you. You shall never have your freedom.
First of all, rude. Second of all, not only will he handle the beans, but he will roast and toast the beans. By dawn, you are already up and about after a troubled slumber. The Black Wagon is prepared for its final voyage to the fall of Salam, and no one speaks. As you lift into the skies, the lone minstrel raises his voice, cutting through the somber mood. Reader, a certain olden ballad comes to mind just now. I think it may befit the circumstances. Perhaps it may help to pass the time along our flight. Would you mind very much if I were to play this song for the night winds? You urge the lone minstrel to play his ballad so that all among you might hear it. He begins without another word.
When the stars align, the rights shall come to bear. Illuminate the signs, the exiles shall be there. All are not the same, but three shall be as one. Freedom in flame, the end has just begun. Strength may break our own.
Soaring far above the Solian shore, you notice Pamitha gazing down at the frozen cliffs below. That damn place down there. I like it least of all. I think among everywhere we've been, I am thankful that there's no reason to return. Reminds me of home is all. The high-wing remnants. We all grew accustomed to the thinner air amid the cliffs that breaches the clouds above your commonwealth. But it was not the nicest place. Little wonder that my sisters settled for a rather warmer base of operations in this land, there by the nest of Teresa. Anyway, I'm pleased to have spent as little time as possible near here. Let's fly by and go about our business. I was trying to extend the song so we could hear it all, but it was actually probably just long enough to get there. So, my bad. Tizo? Pamitha. We need to do Pamithas. You touch down amid the fading glory of Mount Aladoyle to make pilgrimage for the summit of one last time. There, one last liberation rite shall soon commence. There, one last exile shall regain his or her freedom, and all others shall remain to carry out their sentence here and downside for the remainder of their lives. And in the Commonwealth, the plan of which you are a part of shall either come to fruition or shall be suppressed. I'm going to guess suppress. After having landed, you join Pamitha on the expedition to the Monument Jomar Many-Mane for what was likely to be the final time. Well, Pamitha, here you are again. Enjoy it while you can, I guess, because it sounds like this is your last chance and everyone's. What would you even do if the reader darling there decided to pick you? Have you even decided yet, or need more time? You'll always be an outcast, Pamitha. There's nothing waiting for you where you're from, and your sister hates you. Yet you want to go back anyway. Maybe because they thought they'd seen the last of you. Just imagine the looks on their faces. Soon she is finished, and you return to the wagon in silence, feeling as though Jamar Many-Mane has shown you favor. At dawn, you shall begin your last ascent. For now, your vocations may occupy what little time you have to spare. Come, my boy. Of course, we're going all this way, but we'd better make the most of it. You illustrate to Hedwyn some of the intricacies, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for the lesson, my friend. It's given me a lot to think about. We're gonna have a lot to think about together, Hedwyn. You and me. A messenger tracks you down in the quiet solitude of Mount Aladoyle to bring you news and rumors from the other side. The report's subject is Temitha, blood sister to Pamitha, and stoic leader of the Essence, as she was liberated at the fall of Salam, for her transgressions are all forgiven upon her return. And yet old enmities remain in spite of Commonwealth tradition, or because of them. Temitha found herself held up in many rounds of questioning, each less informal than the last. All concerned the movements of her sister, the High-Wing remnants. Refusing to cooperate, Temitha demanded safe passage to her native lands, yet remained detained. She holds that her own blood sister must have thwarted her once more. Meanwhile, the Essence are refusing to conduct the rites with any other race, and have not found a suitable replacement. You suspect you shall not face them in the rites again. As you finish reciting the imp's message, you take notice of Pamitha's reaction. It's worse than dead to her by now, I think. Nonetheless, I am grateful she's returned, and I'll try to hold out hope that she'll be the wiser for it. You thank the messenger imp for delivering its news, and let it make good use of some of the Black Wagon's facilities before watching it as it flutters off towards the horizon. You stand before the scribe's gate with your companions. The gate guardian is there, as ever, but you sense something different in her. The exiles of the Nightwings. We shall not meet again after the coming rites. Tarek and I, it shall be time we take our rest, I think. Greetings, Celeste. I would tell you that the Nightwings are prepared, that this time I am certain anyone among us feels thus. We have a duty to uphold, Tarek. And then what, Celeste? And then nothing. Not for the rites or us. Not till the dawn of a new age. Now, Nightwing, step forth. Step forward. Please state your names and what it is you seek while crossing Scribe's Gate. One by one, your fellow exiles approach her, now with the sureness of their step. We are called Big Bertrude. We seek to fulfill the plan of Saddlewood. We are fond of him and his beliefs, and then to go about our business. Tizo believes that his ancestors are watching over the Nightwings and seeks to live up to their legacy. I am Hedwig. I wanted more than anything to see the one I love back on the other side, but I think I'll be okay. So I just want my friends to be okay as well. Tamitha Thine here. I'm seeking my blood sister Tamitha's forgiveness, since she ended up in here because of me. Maybe something good can come of it as yet. My name is Volfred Sandalwood. I long as yet to see an age where freedom is one's birthright, and no longer are good people such as these forced to contend for it. Finally, you step once more. You are a crippled scholar who longs to regain his freedom, and who managed to come this far with his group. The gate guardian observes you for a moment, then motions past the archway toward the summit. The 8 scribes bid the Nightwings welcome. Go forth with glory. Except for you, Tarek. You stay right there. I thought you said... The rites are not yet ended, Tarek. You look toward her, and then over to the rest of you. He looks toward her, then to the rest of you. Pardon me, everyone. I shall be there when the stars align. The gate guardian and the lone minstrel remain together as the rest of you depart. You have gained the summit of Mount Aladale for the 7th time, the final time in which any of you shall have a chance to leave the downside. Hey guys, I guess you probably heard the big news, huh? Yeah, I'm going on a business here, I guess. Just hasn't been the same, you know, with the stars all fading out and stuff. Anyways, just wanted to say you guys are great, and I'm sure gonna miss having you guys as customers and all that. I got some good news though too. All my stuff, it's all on sale now, and I will throw a little extra there just for you, okay? So enjoy, and maybe I'll be seeing you guys around, okay? 5% off. Should I just, like, go wild and sell a bunch of stuff? Like... You only live once, right? I really like some of these. It's really good though. If I had I cancel that back. Sorry. I really wanted to use these rings. It's a shame. Alright, I'm gonna hang on to those two things. Next right. Well, all I need is for the next right. For hope. For hope. Doesn't need to be permanent. Oh, I can afford more. Okay. Yeah, we should get rid of, make you a little bit faster. Okay. Did we even, Dad? Just look at how much we got this time. Thank you for visiting me on such short notice, reader. I understand you have important matters to attend to, so let me be blunt. Please listen for a moment, then. I know this whole affair is coming to an end, all of it. I sense the binds that form the rights becoming weak. Which means soon you will not need me anymore. Not that you have needed me at any point, but still, my services will not be of any further use. I would love to tell you that this means I shall be free from my eternal prison. For some of my beyonders, it shall be a release. My accomplices are bound by weaker words than those which have bound me. They shall fade away, I think, and finally rest. I, however, shall remain. She hesitates for a moment. Thus, I have a proposition for you. I do not know where you shall go from here, but I ask you to take me there, wherever it shall be. By that I mean, take this stone present of mine and keep it. Do not just leave it, as all your predecessors have, each time their stay among the Nightwings reached an end. Soon the Beyonder Crystal shall serve no use at all, except to keep me trapped. I am content to remain thus, for I have little choice, but I would prefer to do so in your company. For I do enjoy your company, reader. This may not be much of a compliment, but I assure you that I much prefer your company to an eternity of solitude. I have no wish to see you gain in years, and to eventually decay while I still remain unchanging, but I should rather have more years whilst having contact. Even if those years are to be brief, they shall afford me many more in which I think I might think back upon our times. Nor do I expect you to accommodate my needs, for I am well aware that I have my limits in accommodating yours. That is to say, I wish you to go forth after this night and live your life however you see fit, for your own sake. May all the rights, business, enrich your coming days somehow. And in considering that life after this night, if you think that there may be a place in it for me, however small, then once again I simply ask that you take me along. That way, should you ever wish to visit me again sometime, you could, and I would like to have that as an option more than not. My request here is a selfish one, for there is little I can offer in exchange other than what little my companionship is worth. Perhaps I could lull you to sleep once in a while. Who knows? You could always try and sell the Beyonder Crystal for a reasonable sum somewhere, or something to that end. There must be something out there with an interest in this thing. So then, you've heard my sad little proposition. What do you say? You grasp the Beyonder Crystal and set it into the folds of your clothing. Sandra senses this and makes a sound as though surprised. Thank you, reader. She is at a loss for a moment then. Let us go then from this place. Go and face your last remaining adversaries. May you crush them under heel and achieve the outcome which you seek. I believe you shall prevail. She disappears into the stone for now. You took the Beyonder crystal with you. I don't think I can afford that last one, even if I sell. Yeah. Even if I sell what I have. I don't think so. Ah, close, but no cigar. Okay, it's fine. Let's go lose. You have gained the summit of Mount Aladale for the 7th time. Very few stars remain above to light your way as you await the commencement of the final liberation rite. The lone minstrel finds you clutching the Book of Rites, seeking there perhaps some bit of wisdom that has eluded you thus far. Reader, we may not have a chance to speak again after this. I may have to go. Thank you. I wish to say that I am grateful for having made your acquaintance, and I shall remember you with fondness. I wish you well this night, and always. Go forth with glory. Thank you for the sippy. Then he looks up and extends his hand in friendship. You clasp it. You see Tizo has joined you. All of your companions are there with him, in fact. Tizo wants you to know that he has the utmost faith in you. Well, reader darling, what do you say we give those old scribes a real show to remember then, shall we? Let's get through this one together, my friend. We all believe in you. It is strange for me to say, given the circumstances of our meeting, reader, but it has truly been a pleasure. Onward now, let us achieve our plan. Reading one, thou art both wiser and less irritating than most others of thy kind. We have learned something from thee, and we are grateful. You look upon your fellow exiles, your companions with whom you have withstood the downside, and with whom you shall now conduct this final rite. Begging your pardon, but my time has come. We shall see each other soon. He departs. After this night, the outcome of Wolfred's plan, the plan which you have been a part of, shall be decided, one way or another. For now, all you can do is strive to prevail against your fellow adversaries, so that one last companion may go free. You rise to join your fellow exiles as the last remaining stars ignite. The final liberation rite of this age shall now commence. Mere distance cannot separate our spirits. Oh, it's gonna go be so brutal.
Look, for one last time, upon the fall of Solium, dear reader. Hear me for one last time. For soon, the few remaining stars shall fade away, leaving you stranded there for your remaining days. In that forsaken land where you deserve to be. The rabble that you roused here in the Commonwealth shall be put down. The exiles whom you liberated, all shall fall in line. But first, let us get on with this last liberation rite. You face none other than yourselves. Each so unlike the glorious Nightwings of yore. 'Tis a shame that one of you shall soon be free, for you deserve each other.
The pyres burn and each of the trim of ice is present and prepared. But before the lone minstrel can concur, as per the custom. Not another word. The demon Orlek slowly raises his clawed fingers to his mask. The false Nightwings have arrived at last. Long have I awaited this. My freedom once was stolen from me, then I was cheated of it here upon this mountaintop. You may now attempt to take it from me once more. He stands there for a moment, silent, then. Orlok dons his mask and stands prepared. May these damned rites cease forever, and for the misery which they caused. Nightwings, we shall not meet again after tonight, and for the cycle of the rites is all but ended. Thus I would have your decision on whose behalf you will conduct this final liberation rite, the one with whom you anoint, or else the exile Orlek shall be returned. Godspeed, reader. Know that you know what is at stake better than I. I have the utmost faith in you to make the best decision and conduct the rite with glory. Nightwings, the star's remaining light grows dim. Your decision, please. It is time now to choose who, if anyone among you, shall go free this one last time. The rest of you shall remain in the downside to the end of your days. One by one, you meet the gazes of your fellow exiles. Wilfred, Hedwyn, Tizo, Pamitha, Bertrude. Your fellow exiles, your companions, your friends. Together you have come this far, but now the downside and the rights conspire to tear your group apart and disrupt your plan. With but a glance, you reassure your fellow exiles that you know what to do.
One final opportunity for salvation. Too bad for the rest of you. Pamitha.
I tell you, you've made a terrible mistake there, Raider darling, but I think you haven't made as many as I have, so I'll try not to mess this up for either of us. Your choice is cast. As for your other companions, you sense a clarity of thought and purpose in each of them. They stand ready to support Pamitha, as well as you.
Who shall lend her support? Hedwyn.
Alright, Pamitha, this one's for you. This one's for all of us.
Tizo.
Tizo is ready to do whatever it takes to see Pamitha regain her freedom this night. These are to be my adversaries, then? And who is it, I wonder, who asserts his will over that group? You sense that Orlick is searching for you, almost reaching out to you. You, the shadow of the false Nightwings. They are nothing to me but you. You who would relinquish your own liberty for the sake of them? Strange. It is fitting, then, that I should have to face one such as you. Then Orlick stands at the ready, signaling for his two allies to do the same. By light of dawn, the cycle of the rites shall cease. Let us see if we can finish this ordeal before that time. The sky above begins to shudder. The final liberation rite is about to commence. Tariq? I am prepared, Celeste. Then let our song this evening shake the stars themselves. Aye, Celeste, let us make sure of it. Tizo. Tizo fumbles with his mask. Tizo recognizes Orlick and greets him tentatively. It is good to see. Orlick reaches for his mask in turn. How is the horn mending? Tizo indicates his horn has not bothered him for a long time now and thanks Orlick for it. Good. A full recovery then. But it is unfortunate to see you standing there with them, Tizo. Come with us, no questions asked. The proposition seems to catch Tizo off guard. Tizo indicates that he will not abandon his friends or their quest. He seems to be pleading with Orlick to stand down and to listen and to not give in to anger. But Orlick shakes his head. He puts his mask back on. This is something I must do, little one. Tizo dons his mask in turn, and he chirps nothing more.
Begin. The final chance at liberation for the age.
Woo! The sky rains ash, soon your pyres won't mingle with them. Just then the skies above begin to rain fire, the final throes of the cycles of the rites, and the endings of the age.
effort. You left yourselves wide open. Pamatha banished. None left unscathed. Resplendent. Ha!
Go, Pamatha!
Pamatha has doused the flame. The Nightwing's pyre burns brighter for now.
Rest in peace, Caesar.
Oh. Away with them.
Wait for me.
True Nightwings banished to the last. The wings have served her true.
So the false Nightwings bear their fangs at last. But that cannot be your finest effort. You think you deserve your freedom more than I? Then fight for it, damn you.
How he has changed, that warleg. Grown old and bitter all these many years.
Yeah, I'll take that. Thank you much.
Splendid, unfortunate.
All of you, you shall rot here. You shall rot as I have all these many years, you false Nightwings, who would deny me once again my rightful liberty. You who deny that liberty to all the Trimovites you face and vanquish under the guise of your traditions of those blasted scribes. Come, let us continue this glorious affair. Fuck. Orlex stands, breathing heavy. He looks back at the thin lick of flames that is his smoldering pyre before turning his attention back to your Trimovite.
is at last. The Night Wings proved their worth. Rather convincingly, I must admit. Thus ends the Liberation Rite. And thus, the scribes have chosen.
Not bad there, reader darling. Just another night in the downside now. You look upon Pamitha, what you expect shall be the last time you see each other. Any moment now, the Shimmer Pool shall engulf her. Any moment now, she shall return to glory and join Wolfred's agents on the Commonwealth to help achieve the plan. Any moment now, the cycle of right shall end until at least the dawn of a new age. Yeah, I should have used him last time too. Yeah, he's a good. I should have used him against Tizo. I don't know why I didn't. I kind of thought Bertrude with her casts were more useful, but I could have got Tizo out. But then this, I think, would have been a lot harder without Tizo. Any moment now.
And thus, the scribes have chosen. And thus, the scribes have chosen. And thus, the scribes have chosen. No. Nightwings. Reader. What have you done?
Damn, did we already miss our chance? Each prior time the fall of Solem, the Shimmer Pool has opened, following the Liberation Rite, and taken in whichever exile prevailed. And by now, all is still, and the light of the stars above has all but died. You sense a growing fear that it is already too late that the Shimmer Pool shall not reveal itself again. Orlick approaches, his head bowed. The scribes save their greatest treachery for last. Then something else catches his notice. Wait. A sudden rash of starlight cascades through the stillness of the summit. The Shimmer Pool has appeared again, different somehow, but open. Pamitha looks upon it, but it does not engulf her, or at least not yet. It seems I was mistaken then. The 8 scribes. This is not their greatest treachery. It is their greatest jest. The Shimmer Pool is flung wide open. It seems that all are worthy now of freedom. Orlick strides towards the Shimmer Pool, but... Halt, Orlick. Orlick glances over at the lone minstrel, almost in surprise. The Shimmer Pool has lost most of its strength. You step inside and you shall surely drown. Of that I can assure you. He laughs to himself at this. Then we have all been cheated. No. The Shimmer Pool is revealed, and one of you may still return as planned. But, as for who returns, someone shall have to choose. Ere the last light of the stars is extinguished and the rite cease to be, this is the final trial of the scribes. The final trial of the scribes? Then our confrontation, the liberation rite, it was all meaningless? No. The victor of the confrontation is to be the one to make the choice among those closest to the scribes, either the anointed or he who anointed them. Then, it's sounding rather like I can get out of here. Though maybe you can, reader darling. Aye, it shall be either of you, the reader or... It shall be either or. Pamitha, please make your decision quickly, lest it shall be forfeit. I do not know for how much longer the light of the stars shall offer you this gift. Quite the dilemma, but I think I know which way I'm leaning here. Reader darling, do me a favor now and go and get out of there before I start having second thoughts. Pamitha wishes to give up her freedom so that you may regain yours. Very well. Reader, sir, the choice with which Pamitha made, or rather, the choice which she gave, is now yours to make instead. This choice, it may keep bouncing back and forth like this. Absurd! It may, until such time as one of you is willing to accept the burden and the outcome of the choice. That is the trial, and I fear there is little time remaining now. Huh, reader, if you and your companion are too cordial with each other to accept that freedom, either one of you, then I shall gladly take it. Freedom ought to be more than some flirtatious trifle to exchange. Reader, what is your will? You are decided. You have chosen Pamitha. She looks at you with some astonishment. Pamitha, madam, do you accept the Readum's choice, or shall you make another? Sure, why not? Thank you, darling. I guess I owe you one. When next we meet, in this life or the next. Then it is done. You see a look of genuine surprise flash across Pamitha's face, and then she is gone. You gave a chance at freedom so that Pamitha may yet have hers.
Godspeed, Pamitha Thane. By the scribes, no stars remain aloft. The cycle of the rites. It is finished. The Commonwealth. What shall become of it? What shall become of us? Nightwings. The opportunity to gain your freedom from the downside. Was it not enough?
I made a promise that I would stay in the downside with Hedwyn forever, and I'm going to keep that. That night, the exile Pamitha returned to the Commonwealth. She was to be the last. The stars had faded, and the cycle of the rites had run its course. She found the Commonwealth in a state of unrest. Spurred by the efforts of 4 liberated exiles, Wilfred Sandalwood's revolutionary plan had ignited the masses. These exiles and the starless sky portended the return of the scribes. The rulers of the Commonwealth pushed back. Fighting broke out in the streets in spite of Sandalwood's intentions. It was then that the winged High-Wing remnants chose to strike. Allegations that the High-Wing remnants were in league with Sandalwood were never proven. However, there was no denying the result of the two-pronged attack. After enduring for almost a millennium, the Commonwealth had fallen. The new Saharian Union declared its sovereignty in the next year. Among these changes, its elected leaders ushered in and vowed they would never cast people into exile, and they abolished the old Commonwealth decree forbidding literacy. Today, we still remember all of this. And we remember the exiles of the downside, whose deeds led to the dawning of our age, whether they returned or not. After the cycle of the rites ceased turning, the lone minstrel bade the remaining Nightwings take the Black Wagon and seek their fortunes elsewhere in the downside. Their parting was heartfelt but brief. He remained there at the summit of Mount Eldel with Celeste, where the two of them would chronicle the final outcome of the cycle. Neither Tarak nor Celeste were ever seen again. We know all this now through song attributed to them. Some claim these songs originated in the taverns of the Saharian Union, and merely were imbued to the weight of folklore. However, exiles liberated from the downside corroborated each other's claims at having met this duo that persisted over the liberation rites. Another folktale suggests these minstrels were heralds of the scribes. Having fulfilled their obligations, they departed the world we know and rejoined their patrons. One of their famous songs describes another simpler outcome, that the two gave up their duties to the rites in favor of a life that they could share together. In any case, they are likely to remain the subject of such verses and such songs, for it was they who watched over the rites and ushered in our times. With the rites drawn to a close, Slug Market's revenues fell precipitously, and Falconron was forced to liquidate its assets and close up shop. Yet, as is sometimes the case with those of entrepreneurial learning, this time of hardship led to an empathy, or at least a sudden change of fortune. One day, Falconron had a run-in with a messenger imp bearing news from the other side. Ron gave it one of his remaining trinkets, which could not be sold. The following week, the messenger imp returned to him bearing a tidy sum of wealth in newly minted coinage from the Saharian Union. Falconron cut a long-term deal with the messenger imp then and there. Though his trade remained a gray area from a legal standpoint, the Saharian Union newfound fame for the downside caused Falconron's goods to explode in popularity. He later signed an elaborate agreement with Big Bertrude and found a distribution partner on the other side through Rookie Greentail, whose own business had expanded. Especially in the Saharian Union, Falconron's goods are still known for their superior quality, though he assumes no liability for any side effects. After the Shimmer Pool closed for what would be the last time, Orlok looked around him in the flickering light of the Nightwake's still burning pyre. He then turned to the Fall of Salem and looked up back towards the black, starless sky. He cursed the 8 scribes, then one after the other. After that, he strode forward towards the waters coursing from the side of Mount Eldo, and without hesitating, he cast himself down. Orlic's body was never recovered. The drop from Mount Eldo does not appear survivable, though Orlic did survive it once. That time, however, he was filled with fury. Such was the betrayal he had suffered when his fellow exile claimed his rightful freedom. This time, Orlic was filled with nothingness, and chose to leave the downside in one way he still knew he could. The other Nightwings who were to witness this never forgot what they saw. Once it became clear to Ignaris that the rites were drawing to a close, he knew it was time for him and the Tempers to call it quits. But first, he and the Tempers decided to celebrate, and that they did for many, many nights. The revelry did eventually subside, the exiles parted amicably, and went their separate ways. He roamed the downside then, searching for some meaning in his life, sometimes taking odd jobs requiring his brute strength. Thank you for the sippy. He never remained alone for very long, and took on many lovers in his time. However, he sometimes thought back about the one he called Curlyhorns, and what became of her. Though his glory days as the most powerful conductor of the rites had long since passed, he always enjoyed the fearsome reputation he had cultivated at that time.
Spectacular.
When manly Thunderstuff realized the rites had ended, and that he could no longer return to the Commonwealth through his ancient means, he was outraged. He cursed the scribe, spewing forth such a slew of blasphemy as to be very unbecoming of one of his high status and bearing. When at last he calmed himself, he focused all his energies on attempting to find another means of homecoming. He maintained regular contact with his wealthy family on the other side of the via Messenger Imp, and used their vast resources to explore other means of escape. He tried using an elaborate pulley system. He attempted to retrofit a flying black wagon with superior propulsion. He tried an imp raft, a hot air balloon, even prayer. Nothing worked. There was only one way to escape the downside, and now it was gone. Tinderstoff bankrupted his family in these vain attempts. At last, such was his shame that he retreated to the teeming woods of Black Basin to Cinderbrook. There he yet wallows, complaining to his comrades of the chastity, who still put up with him, either about his own misfortune or the latest news from the other side. I thought she got out. After the liberation, Witch Umlid fled to her native home in the southern bogs, rejecting all festivities and honors she could have received. She was never seen again during the events that transpired in and around the Commonwealth. Some of those with knowledge of the rites and the legends of the downside suggest she willingly cast herself back into exile to be closer to Yalsh. Other rumors suggest that her obsession with pyromancy and the dark arts ultimately consumed her. If she lives, for her kind are able to live many centuries, there is no telling where. Her repeated threats of the return of Yalsh were thoroughly investigated, and to no credence was found to any of her claims. I love this dude. Barker Ashpaws never had much interest in returning to the Commonwealth, where he was always found by its bylaws to be stifling. So when the rites ended, he did not care, at first. He soon grew very bored. The rites had given life to a certain sense of structure he had always needed. He missed the raw anticipation of it all. He decided to continue conducting the rites for the thrill of it. He bent some of the rules and replaced some of the objects, but it was close enough. His pack mates, the Descendants, proved to be more than happy to participate, and thus they ran against each other back in Jomar Valley. Gradually, the other exiles, familiar with the rites, as well as those who had not heard of it at all, started to take an interest. They ended up giving Barker Ashpaw some healthy competition. His old feud with Rookie Greentail ceased meaning anything to him, and he forgot all about it amid his new pursuits. Ultimately, even Barker Ashpaws, who led such a directionless existence to that point, found something of a calling through the rites. Whether he took the rites less seriously than any other exile of his time, or more, was oft debated by those who watched him work. All his life, Sir Deluge had fled from one danger only to find himself facing another. He had escaped the war-torn waters of the Sea Dominion, he had escaped the blood border of the Commonwealth, and now he had escaped the rites. After the rites had ended, many exiles wrapped up their ancient tasks were crestfallen as their last chances to return to their homes vanished among with the stars above. But Deluge did not mind, for this outcome meant that at last there was no burden of responsibility weighing down on him. While most of his fellow exiles of the Pyre hearts yet longed for the waters of the Sea Dominion, driven as ever by their impulses toward conflict, the Luge settled down. With him remained one of his companions, one Lady Seagrass, who had taken a liking to him for some reason. Reportedly, they disappeared into the waters of the Worm Gulf, which may begin to explain the significant increase in the worm population observed in the vicinity. Gross. As the cycle of the rites drew to a close, it grew evident that a chance of freedom from the downside had forever slipped from Dalebert and Almer Oldheart's grasp. Thus they and the exiles of the Fate returned to Jormor Valley. There they struggled to get by, as exiles of the downside tend to do. Sometime after the rites had ended, Oldheart at last heard the news that the Commonwealth had fallen. This was well after the fact, of course, but it brought old Dalebert great joy. Despite his forthright manner, he had no love for the nation that cast him down, along with his son. Dalebert Oldheart passed peacefully in his sleep before the next new moon. In his final days, he implored his son to undertake a pilgrimage to the scribes. Elmer never shared his father's view of the scribes, but respected Dalbert's wishes, and so, after a period of mourning, Elmer began a new journey. Not a day went by that Elmer Oldheart did not think about his father, and give thanks to him and speak to him at morning and at night. What did the stars yet show? For surely Dalbert would be there among them, smiling down at his son and watching over him and his kin. This clown. After the final liberation rite, Lendo refused to believe that the rites had truly ended. He would sit through night after consecutive night, staring into the blackness of the sky, awaiting any kind of sign that he might gain another chance at freedom. No such sign ever came. His fellow accusers started to express some concern for him. Survival had become their top priority once liberty had slipped from their grasp. But Lendl dismissed them as weak fools. He insisted, rather forcefully, that any evening now the stars would shine for him again, and mark the way toward his inevitable freedom. He was, of course, mistaken. The others in his primitive were left with little choice but to abandon him. After that, the exile known as Lendl the Liar was never seen again. However, there have been sightings of the bedraggled demon who wanders the downside and bears Lendl's cruel countenance, suggesting he yet lives. As soon as possible after Temitha Thane earned back her liberty, she rejoined her sisters of the Highwind Remnants in the mountain north of the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth believed that someone such as she could be rehabilitated through years spent in exile. Instead, her hatred for her ancient enemies only intensified. On the night of the scribe's return, the Highwind Remnants were poised to strike the Commonwealth in a decisive blow. They had received credible intelligence that the expected positions of the Commonwealth leadership and of specific weaknesses on the blood border defenses anticipated that night. After a surgical procedure, Temitha could fly again, almost as well as prior to her exile. She insisted on spearheading the attack with a squadron of harps at the finest. They descended on their foes exactly as planned. The chaos that had risen in the streets of the Commonwealth that night made for optimal diversion. Nonetheless, the battle took its toll, and many of Temitha's sisters fell. She herself sustained many grievous wounds, but ignored them all and fought with a terrible fury. By dawn, the leaders of the Commonwealth had been eliminated, and Temitha was limping back towards the mountains. She would never fly again. Soon after the fall of the Commonwealth, Temitha attended a debriefing in which her blood sister Pamitha was also in attendance. Temitha was very skeptical that Pamitha could have played a beneficial role in the preceding events and lashed out at her. Pamitha made no attempt to elude the attack and was struck full on. This cost Pamitha the use of her right wing. Yet after she recovered, she shrugged the incident aside and said maybe they would call it even now. From that point on, the Blood Sisters kept a formal distance, but they were cordial with each other. After the rise of the Sarian Union, Temitha Thane continued to serve as flight tactician and remained respected and feared even among her kind. However, without a war to wage, she grew more distant even than usual. Closest to her surmised that her inability to reconcile with her blood sister was at the heart of this, though for her part, Temitha never once admitted to any such weakness. Little teaser. When the cycle of the rite ceased turning, Volfred Sandalwood turned toward the starless sky and closed his eyes and prayed. It was all he could do at that stage of his plan. He aspired to assemble with liberated exiles representing each of the 8 largest ethnic groups composing a population of the Commonwealth that would stand together as a vision of the 8 scribes returned, inspiring the masses to embrace an older set of values from before the Commonwealth had tightened its grip. With the rites ending sooner than expected, this ideal scenario became impossible, and Sandalwood's own freedom, for instance, was now forfeit. Yet the plan did have contingencies. Word reached him that, on the night of the Scribe's return, several of his fellow liberated Nightwings stood together, and their voices echoed through the streets. It was vital to Sandalwood that this stand against the Commonwealth be peaceful in its nature, but this proved to be untenable, especially after the Highwing remnants appeared. There was speculation that their well-timed assault may not have happened by coincidence, though Sandalwood denied any involvement and regretted the bloodshed. Nevertheless, the main thrust of the plan had been achieved. Sandalwood kept busy after that, as much as possible, providing counsel from afar to those who would be at the forefront of the birth of the Sarian Union. Of course, being stranded in the downside meant there was only so much he could do. Resting assured that the future of the nation was in capable hands, he returned his attention to the remaining exiles of the downside. They might never return to that new nation, but at least they could experience its triumphs and its struggles in some very vicarious way. So he took to his old work, writing and printing. As literacy began to spread again throughout the Saharian Union, so too did exiles of the downside take to it. For his part, Sandalwood helped teach as many as he could. More than that, he provided the materials to read, a semi-annual report about the latest events both in the Saharian Union and the downside. This periodical gave many exiles something to look forward to. One of his allies in all of this was the imp Tizo, with whom he traveled all across the downside. Sandalwood often cited Tizo as the wellspring of his own enthusiasm for a brighter future. Such was the creature's spirit. He welcomed the company of the reader of the Nightwings at every opportunity and counted him a trusted friend and a keen edger. As Wolfred Sandalwood gained more fame throughout this land for all his sacrifices and his contributions, it is said that he remained steadfast about two things. The first was the cause itself to remain in focus. The freedom that people had achieved, it was a gift to be cherished, a set of values that needed to be nurtured. The second point he made was that he himself had little to do with the outcome. He would often praise the exiles of the Nightwings who had stood with him, each in turn by name. He never forgot any of them. One day, to commemorate his birthday, the people of the Saharian Union unveiled a monument depicting him and the Nightwings as imagined in their prime. While Sandalwood did not learn of it until much later, it is said he was moved to tears then by the gesture. It has since ensured that those with the memories more fallible than that of Sandalwood likewise remember the achievements of his fellow former exiles and our cause. Several exiles of the Nightwings cared more for the plan of Sandalwood than to return home from the downside. The crone called Big Bertrude was a prime example. She had found a suitable environment to live within the dismal region known as Flagging Hands. There she built up a thriving place of business known to many exiles from the land. When the rites having ended, she returned to her preoccupations, working away almost as though nothing had happened. When one gets to be more than 400 years of age, perhaps then even monumental events such as the culmination of the rites or the collapse of the Commonwealth are seen as trifling matters. Much of her effort was doubtless due to the influence of Sandalwood, someone with whom she had admired now for decades. He had made clear that he could not requite her feelings for him, but what could have been a hurtful dismissal led only to a deeper understanding between them. By and large, Bertrude kept focused on her work. Whether casting small enchantments or imbuing talismans, the work brought her a sense of purpose, she would say. In the Commonwealth, such services were strictly forbidden, but in the downside, there was a real need for simple luxuries, when the completing smug market could not always provide. Thus did Big Bertrude continue to live up to her name, and the tales of her days with the Nightwings made her that much more of the living legend. After her liberation, Jordell soon became an icon of the movement that led to the collapse of the Commonwealth and the rise of the Saharian Union. Her military prowess and experience led to key victories in clashes against Commonwealth loyalists. Each time she was able to subdue the opposition, avoiding lethal force. In the uncertain times that followed, Jordell's seasoned expertise often came into play both in matters of security and of state. For instance, she conscripted and trained a team of volunteers in public safety. The community did not know what to make of such the cordial bunch at first, but soon came to value their service. They have stood for the people ever since, and we celebrate their founding day each year. Through all this, she has often thought of Hedwyn. Though they remained separated by an impossible expanse, they managed to maintain some correspondence via messenger imp, and always remained friends. She kept an eye on Faye, who nonetheless demonstrated a surprising knack to get by on her own, though Jordell was always willing to provide assistance just in case. She continued training on her own, a regimen that grew stricter with each passing day. There were those who sought to train with her, and she sometimes obliged. There remained one other constant in her life. She would always remember her days among the Nightwings, and with fondness for the most part. After regaining freedom, Pamitha Thine found herself in a difficult position. Having once betrayed her people of the Highway Remnants, she knew she would not be welcome in her native home. She did not trust the Commonwealth either. Instead, she found her place among Wolfred Sandalwood's agents, who were busy doing their part to fulfill the plan. The plan took certain unexpected turns, but in the end resulted in the outcome Sandalwood had envisioned. It was fortunate that the Highwing Remnants arrived when they did, on the night of the Scribe's return. However, Pamitha denied any involvement with or foreknowledge of this. Afterward, Pamitha played an active part in negotiating terms between the Highwing Remnants and the new nation that would become Saturn Union. Previous attempts at something of the sort led to her exile. She must have felt some satisfaction to succeed this time around. Sometime later, Pamitha had an unexpected run-in with Rookie Greentail, with whom she had spent a fair amount of time with while traveling with the Nightwings. Under these new set of circumstances, it turned out the two had more to talk about, and rather more in common. They would often put to test to see which one was able to outdrink the other. It is unclear as to which of them prevailed in that contest in the end. One day, Pamitha received an invitation to return to the Highwing Remnants, where she was to be fully pardoned. That was where she ran into her blood sister Tamitha for the first time since their exile. Their reunion was not amicable, as Pamitha might have hoped, and Tamitha, still resentful of their history together, turned violent. Pamitha would later brush aside the incident, though always had an injury to show for it. Yet, from that point on, the Blood Sisters were back on speaking terms, at least for the most part. Later, when asked, Pamitha Thane admitted she felt as though she had no home to call her own. This was during an interview conducted amid the extensive trip abroad, for she had traveled thousands of leagues beyond the bounds of the Saharan Union. Pamitha continued to journey thus, citing that it reminded her of when she was younger and could fly unfettered. The Commonwealth had never provided a sense of home for the one they called Faye the Fair, so she was surprised on her return that she was so well treated. She felt uneasy about it, and besides, she knew that she would do her best to fulfill the pledge she had made to her friends. Even she could not have expected the impact she would have had on the events that followed, which gave rise to the Saharan Union. Faced with the others on the night of the Scribe's return, she did not take up arms but spoke of the Scribes with conviction and sincerity. Others were so caught off guard that it helped quell the danger of the situation. After the fall of the Commonwealth, there was renewed interest in the legend of the 8 Scribes and many new interpretations of their history and teachings. Faye found herself at the center of all this. Her way of speaking continued to compel a growing audience. She swayed many people. No worries, Zeth. Her way of speaking continued to compel a growing audience. She swayed many people from the astralist beliefs. Soon, the 8th Word, which had lost favor with the people during the reign of the Commonwealth, sought her out and asked her to formally join, and she did, right away. Through it all, she would wonder how her little friend Tizo had fared. While they were divided now by a great distance, he always remained in her heart. She cited her relationship with Jordell as the single most important in her life, and Jordell would always provide for her a circumspect perspective and the wisdom of experience. Faye always was devoted to her faith, but more so to her friends. Many people in the Saharan Union cited that her gentle manner and unwavering conviction helped them brave the changing times with courage and with grace. After Rookie Greentail earned back his freedom, he returned to a lavish welcome ceremony in the Commonwealth, as is a tendency for liberated exiles. It was everything he could have hoped for, and soon he was well off, surrounded by luxury and choosing between various exciting opportunities. However, he must have given in to his better judgment, as he did end up siding with Wolfred Sandalwood's revolutionary forces, as he promised. On the night of the Scribe's return, Greentail kept busy barking orders to Wolfred's agents as the situation grew tenser. He looked rather well to leadership. When dawn finally came, and it became clear that the Commonwealth and everybody knew would be no more, he realized that many new opportunities awaited. He began a lucrative career for himself, manufacturing and selling replica merchandise inspired by the downside. His main struggle was to meet demand. An aspect of his conscience cautioned him against making light of such a thing, but the money was too good, and soon his family was well off, as he always said. One of his orders of business was to seek out one of his old companions, Pamitha Thane, to whom he took a liking to during their quest for freedom. They bonded further over their love of drink and supported one another through uncertain times that lay in store. He also kept in close touch with Gilman. Ever the perfect practice partner, they would train together often, taking care to stay in tip-top shape as much as possible throughout the years. Greentail always did his best to keep in touch with all his many friends and knew that he owed his fortunes to them. He made a special point of staying close with the group of friends he came to know so well during his time with the Nightwings, wherever they were. They shared a special understanding that put even Greentail at a loss for words sometimes. When the worm Gilliman returned to the Commonwealth, he believed that he had regained something even more important than his freedom, his honor. Gilman relinquished his knighthood and declined an opportunity to serve as captain on the Blood Border. He was not interested in fighting any longer. Yet, as is sometimes the case with those such as he, a circumstance soon came about in which there came a need for him to once again make use of his military training. He fought that night of the scribe's return. He fought with all his might. He faced other worm knights. He cared only for the cause. When the matter was at last put to rest, then Gilliman truly knew his time as a knight had ended. He declared to all those in earshot that he would never fight again. Unless, of course, there arose some other extraordinary set of circumstances, again requiring him to fight. But he certainly hoped not. He still trained regularly, just in case, especially with his fleet-footed friend, Ricky Greentail. He was always grateful for having studied under the reader of the Nightwings, without whom he would have never completed his penance. Because of this, and perhaps because they were on opposite sides of the world now, Gilliman dedicated his life to him. By that point, he had long forgotten about his days under the leadership of Sir Deluge, his former commander. Breaking free of his abusive relationship was his first step towards gaining a bit of self-respect. Gilman never did return to his homeland of the Sea Dominion, and was content to lead a monastic life in a small residence in the hills. It was just high enough to make him keep striving to conquer his fear of heights. Other than that, an intense daily regimen and the occasional visit from an old companion was more than enough to keep him optimistic and engaged. He knew by then that honor was not something to be won, but a contract with oneself to be renewed each day. Thank you for the sippy! Once the rites had ended, the imp Tizo had a job to do, quite unlike most exiles trapped forever in the downside. The lone minstrel asked that he watch over the black wagon, with which the Nightwings had used extensively for travel and for shelter all throughout their quest. Tizo obliged, for he knew that the wagon, as well as the drive it inhabitants, perhaps better than anyone. What became of the wagon exactly was never verified as evidence of Tizo's thorough work. After that, he liked to while away his days with many of his friends, or else with fellow imps. Saddlewood sometimes called for his assistance, and Tizo was always happy to oblige. The two would often reminisce about their times with the lone minstrel. He often chirped about the reader of the Nightwings, with whom he built quite a rapport. The reader understood him perhaps better than anyone. Indeed, Tizo would often express wistful gratitude for all his time with the Nightwings and their many adventures throughout the land that was always his home. Other than that, Tizo would sometimes help interpret the messenger imps relaying news to and from the Saharan Union. Despite having gained significant celebrity abroad, he never let it go to his head. And he would go fishing in the Sea of Solace at every single chance he got. As the cycle of rites ceased turning, records of what happened to the Black Wagon of the Nightwings became inconclusive and contradictory. Some accounts suggest that the exiles of the Nightwings who remained to the downside continued to make use of the Black Wagon as their place of shelter and their means of travel. However, there is no record of what happened to the wagon's contents, such as the Book of Rites or the Beholder Crystal, said to be haunted by the apparition of Sandra the Unseeing. One possibility is that when the lone minstrel took his leave, he took the Beyonder Crystal with him, for thus he was obliged. By this line of reasoning, however, the Black Wagon itself should have been taken also. Others remained skeptical that the Beyond Crystal ever existed, or rather that the visions that it granted were anything other than the result of an active imagination or a fever dream. The bog dwellers of the southern bogs offer still another explanation, for they are familiar with binding enchantments. If there existed such an object in which the Sisters of the Arch had been expelled for more than 800 years, the enchantment could have expired along with the light of the stars. What this would have meant for Sandra and the Beyonders is difficult to say for certain, other than it may have meant that they were finally released. Nevertheless, the fate of Sandra and the Beyonder Crystal remains unknown. Yet those exiles of the Nightwings who claimed to have seen this apparition all spoke of her with degrees of reverence, or perhaps a little fear. I took the crystal with me! Why is this? Can you believe this, reader? Honestly? Sandra has appeared before you, as you well can see. They are so far from the mark with all this nonsense, I am wont to laugh. In fact, here goes. She laughs. She is referring to the account of her. You sense she does not care for it. Well, let them gossip all they like. I merely wish they would mention you at least in passing when next they are at it, though they shall never even know the half of it, shall they? Sandra seems irritated by the incomplete account of what happened to her. You suggest to Sandra that the account of what occurred to her was really not that bad, and that you liked aspects of it. You are much too diplomatic, you know that? You can tell she is unswayed, and yet her grin remains intact. She appreciates the gesture. Anyway, let's keep going, lovely reader. We know the truth of it, and that is what matters. She fades into the Beyonder crystal for now, and you tuck it away, safe. After the rites had ended, Hedwyn decided to make the trip down to the base of Mount Adale the long way, and invited the other remaining members of the Nightwings to join him. As he was unable to return to the Commonwealth, the news of his country's upheaval brought him much anxiety, and sometimes joy. One day, as he was wandering through... Oh my god! As he was wandering through the Downside Prairie, he could scarce believe his eyes at what he saw. Fuck. I tried so hard. There, her wings as brilliant as the sky, was the harp for Canny Shane. The two had shared a love that led to Hedwyn's exile. He longed for freedom so that he might see her once again. She knew that he was alive, for by then his name was quite well known throughout the Saharan Union. The practice of exile had ceased, but she cast herself down anyway. There in the Downside they remained together. In the times of difficulty, he would often ask himself what his old friend Jordell would have done in his place. Though they were separated by great distance now, they thought of one another often, and maintained their friendship through a relatively frequent correspondence via messenger imp. Hedwyn would often think back about how the vow he made at the beginning of his quest for freedom. Although he cherished all his friendships he made, he had pledged to Jordell, Rookie Greentail, and the reader of the Nightwings that they might all be free again together. He had broken that vow, for in the end not all of them were able to return. A terrible guilt over this darkened his mood for a time. However, the others whom he knew lifted his spirits much like he often lifted theirs, and all of the Nightwings knew the stakes. While the others stood with the Nightwings, they were not all able to remain in contact. Thus, Hedwyn thought of each of them often, and so in turn did they think of him. Oh, fuck. I should have let him go. There is one more account which warrants mention. The Nightwings conducted the rites under the guidance of a reader. Little is known of him. However, some accounts of him begin to paint a picture. We know he was of common birth, weak-framed, though raised with a penchant for learning. The journey of the Downside left him close to death. It was then that the Nightwings found him. They brought him from the brink. He showed them the path. He pressed onward with the others, longing a way to regain his freedom. Thus did the cycle of the rites commence its final turns. When the final rite arrived, the reader's freedom was at stake. In the end, however, he remained in exile. From that point on, accounts of him diverge. It is said the voice, which troubled him, was never heard again. Some say he opted for a place to settle in the Downside, though whether this is true, only he knows. Someday, perhaps, that reader's own star shall emerge. Then it shall pierce the dark of night in all its brilliant glory. Until such time, and ever after, all of us give thanks.
Their journey began on a barren waste where the reader arrived, afraid and alone. When he arrived, the book of rites awakened the Nightwings and ignite of the last of the night wings who, having broken the cycle, shall live on in song.
Headwind remained and proved to all that he is no deserter. He stayed true to the end.
Captain Joe Dariel, mother to many a foundling, she has found her way home.
Does the song change?
Rookie Greentail has proved his worth.
That's really
and
cool.
returned to his family by the grace of the scribes. They follow the
And yeah, I did play myself insanely hard. Like, unbelievably hard. I can't even be mad about it.
The moon-touched girl
That's a lot.
hears the scribes.
Because you could, in theory, not save anybody.
They have guided her home.
Tears all the wise, ever faithful to the cause of the night wings. He remained to the end.
Sir Gilman the Bold, ever in his quest, finding honor and glory, he has found his way home. Pamith the Thane, having pleased the scribe, seeking only forgiveness, she has found her way home. They follow the stars down to
If you send all of them, like as many as you won every trial,
strands in a
because I only lost 2.
The great mastermind, Wolfred Sandalwood, saw his plans turn to action. He remained till the end. The bog dweller Bertrude kept their foes at bay with her finest enchantment.
What happened for you, Sprightly? Because I don't think I'll play this thing again. I don't know if the endings are enough to warrant everything.
The reader at last made the night wings whole, having bound them together. He remained till the end.
Oh, okay. Did you did you free everyone every time?
strands in a braid till the end. They follow the stars bound to
Oh, neat.
strands in a braid till the end. Now at the end, as we bid farewell
Okay.
and return to the stars,
I would have thought that Orlick would have fucked up the protests.
find our way home. We shall find our way home.
He's a little unhinged at that point. What a neat little game though. Supergiant does good work. I'm very curious what they're gonna do next. Cause Hades was so huge. They got lots of money. Lots of money to do something real good. I think the only one I haven't played is oh, it starts with a B. Beholder? No, not Beholder. Bastion, I think. I don't know if I'll play that one. But yeah, all of the three that I've played, they all have a really strong one thing is always stronger than the other, so. Yeah. Well, speaking of aged games, well, I can't complain about the age thing, because the next thing in the morning docket is a very old game. Assuming I can get it to work. Hold on, I have to, my throat is gone. Just a second. Assuming I can get this to work, the next game in the morning docket is going to actually be Banjo-Kazooie. It does. It needs a juice box. But yes, Banjo-Kazooie, assuming I can get it to work. And it's not so much that if I can get it to work, because I got it to work. I don't know if the controller's going to work. I haven't had a chance to play around with that just yet. Because my N64 controllers are very, very old. And they were having problems when they were young. Of the time, so that should be exciting. I'm very excited to play Banjo-Kazooie. So that will be in the new morning slot. But otherwise, I will be back in an hour and a half for whatever game. Is it Nier? It's Nier Replicant. Route E, whatever that is. So very, very excited. Exciting stuff. This was a good game. I don't know if it's gonna linger in my head as much as Transistor did. I cannot stop thinking about Transistor. I am like I am like several years too late to the Transistor sort of hype, and I am just like I'm just like out of my mind about it with no one to talk to. I am a lore master, yeah. I've been like going wild and feral about it. I almost wish we had gone through it a second time, just to kind of be like, there's a lot of interesting things about Transistor that you don't catch until your second playthrough, now that you kind of know what you know. So, but, oh well. I do love me some lore. That's why I'm like going so feral, I think, on Transistor. I have no one to... just like, everyone either already knows or doesn't care. And I'm just like, please, please listen to me. I have so much to say, but yeah, Banjo-Kazooie will be at 2 p.m. EST on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. That replaces this time slot, and then we are still going with Nier at 6 p.m. EST. So we will do that. Wow, my throat is. I hope I don't have to do any reading in Nier. I will perish if they give me a giant thing of dialogue to do. All right. I will be back in an hour and a half. I hope to see you all there for more Nier Replicant. Otherwise, have a lovely afternoon, and I hope to see you soon. Goodbye.